So, the Nintendo Switch has very small cartridges. They are even DS cartridges. They're about the size of a penny. Um, they taste terrible. And how do we know they taste terrible? Well, it all started with our friend at Giant Bomb, Jeff Gertzman, or Gerstmann. He just tweeted out on February 24th that I put that Switch cart in my mouth, and I'm not sure what those things are made of, but I can still taste it. Do not try this at home. And he did it on a stream, and he was just like showing off, the little cartridge. And he put it in his mouth, and like he immediately took it out, and he was just like, "What? Why? Why does this taste this way?" And apparently other journalists, of course, have to do this too to make sure it wasn't just a fluke for some reason. So what is going on with these? This is according to a couple of these other journalists here. This is according to Julia Alexander with Intrepid. It doesn't hit you at first. It tastes just as plain and feels just as 3 cartridges she was comparing it to.
What other cartridges were they putting in their mouths?
DS, 3DS, and PlayStation Vita cartridges. Oh, okay, hold on. In just a few, a very sour taste invades your taste buds. It smells bad. You can feel it in your throat. It's revolting, and the only thing that I can equate it to is when you're at the dentist and a drop of sour cleaning material hits the back of your tongue. Your entire face feels it, and the taste lingers for about 20 seconds. So Nintendo confirmed what a lot of people thought the reason why these things are coated in this awful tasting substance. They said which is denatonium benzoate, has also been applied to the game card to avoid the possibility of accidental ingestion. And you might be wondering, well, what is denatonium benzoate? It is the most bitter chemical compound known to humanity. It's been compared to something called quinine, which I'm not familiar with, but apparently it is 1,000 times more bitter than quinine. If that means anything to you, there you have it. And that's what a lot of people thought it was going to be. It's to make sure that you don't eat it because they are small enough to, of course, be eaten or possibly choked on by toddlers. So I know you've got some thoughts on this, so let her rip.
I just want to, before I say what I'm going to say, this article on Polygon, I love that it starts off the first paragraph says, over the past week, reviewers of various outlets have been gamely putting Switch cartridges in their mouths in the name of science and journalism. Really? Is that what we're calling stupidity nowadays? Science and journalism? Let's put this cartridge where no cartridge has been before in my mouth. Literally belongs. I can't understand why this dude was just showing off the cartridge. It's and I've been curious about how big these cartridges were going to be, and I think it's interesting that they're even smaller than 3DS cartridges, which that's an interesting fact to know. But just in the middle of that, he's just looking at us this is it. It's nice. It's small. It's a black rectangle. It's smaller than the 3DS one. Well, don't put it in your mouth. It doesn't taste good. Why? I understand why Nintendo does this. And it makes sense, because if some people like take their disc out of like consoles and they just like leave them on the TV stand or like on the Xbox, it's like that's just what people do. They just like treat their property like crap. But then, you know, babies, how they like discover new things and is they put things in their mouths, and that's just what they do because that's how they find stuff out. And having something so small like lying around that a baby can put in its mouth and potentially swallow isn't good. So put something on it, coat it, so that babies will like spit it out, because if it's like sour or bitter, babies will just cry. They'll just cry. They'll just be super unhappy. So you immediately know, it's like, oh no, something's wrong. Like, go over there in your mouth. Yeah, that's normal. You should never above the, I want to say, 9, maybe 8. Just
don't do it.
Just don't do it. Why would you? And it's not because like someone said. It's not like a rumor went around. Was like, oh, like game cartridges are delicious. Find out more in this article on like BuzzFeed or something like that. It's just some dude popped a cartridge in his mouth because he was just like, why not? And it's, okay, first off, why? Why did that thought occur to you? Second off, there is no second off because you shouldn't have put it in your mouth. And then it's just like everyone started doing it. Like other gaming journalists started like doing the same thing just to like make sure it wasn't. And now it's just like we have a bunch of like 20-plus-year-olds putting game cartridges in their mouths to see if it really does, in fact, taste bitter. It's like, come on, people. We're getting onto like the younger generation of like making just like stupid decisions and doing stupid things in their life, and you're popping cartridges in your mouth just out of curiosity.
So here's another take on it too. We live in a day and age where there are things known as internet challenges. I see this as being the next challenge. How long can you have a Nintendo Switch cartridge sitting in your mouth?
How many Nintendo Switch cartridges?
Oh my goodness. That's no.
I see those as stupid things too. Like the cinnamon challenge, something that people do.
Right.
Apparently you can die from doing that.
Yes, you can.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
I wish I had before I had done it. And in my defense, I was a stupid teenager, and I wanted to make a good impression on people, which is just like that's
doing
all,
exactly
that's what being
what
a teenager
you're told.
is. A teenager is just like, what can get me to not be a loser? And then you just do it. Unless you're just like a really cool person, like I don't need the approval of others, which sadly that wasn't me when I was in high school, but you know, whatever. I got to put a spoonful of cinnamon in my mouth and then almost throw up. But just come on, people, like you're not putting why should a cartridge be like, it's like, I mean, if anything, cartridges look like donuts
or micro SD cards.
Or micro SD
like
cards.
we've had those for years, but now in an effort, I feel like I don't know, maybe no one's thought of it now, and now we're gonna get blamed for starting the internet challenge, but it does kind of feel like, yeah, I get why you did it, but now they're gonna have this other problem. I'm just waiting for it. When it happens, we'll have to talk about it. But when someone dies from trying
someone actually swallows a Nintendo Switch cartridge because
Nintendo
they were
Switch
doing
cartridge challenge.
They just shoved a bunch of them in their mouths and they're like, I wonder what else be like. And it's like, honestly, you deserve to die at that point. I'm sorry.
Oh gosh.
If you're that desperate to create content for people to watch and you die from that,
yeah,
like,
the thing with these reporters, these journalists, just ask Nintendo if they put something on. You don't have to taste it to find out. One guy did it. You should have just left it at the one guy who tasted it.
Yeah, and it's not even like It's not something that you can get upset at Nintendo for, where he's like, this is a measure to make sure your children don't choke on this, so this is actually a good thing. I was like, my 16-year-old son put a cartridge in his mouth, and it was a terrible taste, and I want to know what's in your cartridges right now. It's like, well, first off,
We put the most bitter compound on the planet in
that's to make it so that toddlers don't put it in their mouth, so I don't know what that says about your son, but...
Well, now I'm gonna sue you.
Okay, and then they go to court, and Nintendo's just like, your son's stupid. They're like, oh, court adjourned, you know.
Hopefully that would happen. Nintendo, thank you for unintentionally starting one of the worst internet challenges ever. I'm just gonna assume it's happening because why not?